This episode of Unscripted Turbulence is sponsored by Dude Wow Cocktails. Bold flavor, no extra ingredients. And if you want to try them for yourself, just head to dudewowcocktails.com. Use my code Turbulence26 and get 10% off. Or just grab the link waiting for you in my bio. All right, so this is good. Okay. So yes, okay. Let's try this again, my friend. Oh, yeah, all right.
We're gonna get it.
We're gonna get this sucker in. All right, so here we go. Welcome to Unscripted Turbulence. I'm your host, Raegan Medgie. And this episode is not as heavy as the past couple of episodes, although there has been some heavy lifting to try to make this happen. I'm joined by my friend Christina Zelezen, and you'll notice her background is very unique because Christina, where are you joining me from, and where are you exactly located where you're sitting?
I am joining you from Northern California and right from our Airstream that we live in. And I'm currently sitting on the couch. Airstreams have very rounded windows, so there's all big view of the trees.
Oh, I love that. And she has a furry friend near her,
Yes.
Pepper, right?
Pepper is our Velcro dog, who is currently on top of my legs.
So I didn't know what a Velcro dog was. It's just a dog that kind of latches onto you the whole time.
Yes.
All right, well,
Yeah.
I have a Velcro husband, although he is in the, so Pilot, we call him Pilot as everybody knows. And he is in the apartment today. Now, I have to share something with you, Christina, and my viewers and watchers. So today, Pilot thought I was heading into the studio in Manhattan to record. And he clearly didn't look at the Google Calendar that we share. So he looks at me, he's like, well, aren't you getting going? And I was like, well, no, I'm going to be taping the podcast Nook. You would have thought. Now, this is why Pilot and I could never live in an Airstream like Christina and her husband, Matt, do. He looked at me and he's like, no. I went at peace and quiet. So I'm like, no, you're not getting any. So
I know
apropos.
this feeling, though. I mean, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. Well, I cannot wait to dive into that. So this episode, I like to say, is an episode that is going to take us all on an adventure. Because when I met Christina, I was completely blown away, awe-inspired, fascinated by her story. She is doing something that many people, I mean, there are like Instagrams out there and there are, videos of people doing like van life and that kind of stuff. And you watch it from afar. I have a friend who does it, and it's Christina. She's actually living, I want to say in a van down by the river. No, in the mountains, like you said. It's such a neat story that she has because, as I said, the past couple of weeks, we've had kind of some heavier episodes. But this week is going to be just something of magic and adventure. And if you ever thought, could I ever do this? There is a way, and Christina's going to explain it. Maybe not the most comfortable way of doing it. So,
Explained.
yeah. So Christina, she is married to one of my friend's oldest brothers. And now Christina and I have tried to do this pod. How many times do you think we tried to
Probably
do this?
4 or 5.
Yeah. Now, the reason is she's in the mountains of California, Northern California. So there was snow last week when we tried to do this, like a blizzard.
Yeah. And now today it's 52 and sunny.
Which I didn't know it did that. I mean, I should know because I'm a meteorologist, but like climatologically speaking, so I would think, okay, mountains, Northern California, you get snow and you're cold like we are here in New York where I'm recording, but it's not like that all the time for you.
It should be. And that's what a lot of locals knew it to be. And we used to get like really big winters, but the last few have been kind of like this, like a really late start and then like an early spring sensation and then a big winter storm and then like right back to spring and then summer's been happening. It feels like a little earlier now. Like I remember last summer, like right at June 1st, it was like 90 degrees. I was like, oh, okay, here we are.
Oh, wow. That kind of like came out of nowhere,
Yeah, it
seemed,
should.
right?
Yeah, we would like more snow. We would like it to be a longer, bigger winter, but so far this
Yeah.
year we've just been getting a lot of sun, which I think people would probably be like, "Don't complain."
Yeah,
um,
don't.
but we get a lot of wildfires out here, so we really like a good snowpack on the ground leading up into summer just to feel a little bit more secure in that world.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow. Didn't think about that. Okay.
Yeah, I grew up on the East Coast like you did in Scranton,
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, and I never thought about water the way I do until I moved out here.
No kidding.
Yeah, because it was so abundant, growing up in Pennsylvania. It rained, it was humid,
Yeah.
nothing was really ever dry, and out here, we're just kind of in a constant drought in the summertime.
Okay. Well, that really sets a stage. So
Yeah.
now we're going to, as you heard, Christina is from Scranton, Northeast Pennsylvania, and my people who are my loved ones up there, my viewers from NEPA,
Napa.
know Scranton in the office. And when I worked at Newswatch 16, did you watch Newswatch 16 when you were growing up?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Who didn't? So a little backstory before Christina can get into like, how she got out there and lives in a van, because this is so fascinating. So Christina, as I said, I got to know her because she's married to one of my friend's oldest brothers. His name is Matt. So my friend is Adam, and I'm going to tell this story again. She's already heard
Right.
this story, but I'm going to call myself out. But the difference is Pilot's in the other room. So I don't know if he's going to hear the story or not, but whatever. So when I was in 10th grade in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, going to Liberty High School, go Hurricanes, I met Adam. Adam was an upperclassman, so he was in his junior year. And Adam and I became friends, and then we dated for a very hot second. He actually took me to prom, his junior prom. So I was the sophomore. When you're a freshman and sophomore, you don't go to prom. You have to be invited by an upperclassman. So
That's so
that's right.
fancy. Yeah.
I know, right? Your
Kind
girl
of a
still
big
got
deal.
a big deal. So Adam took me to prom. Really fun, whatever. It was like one of those like lighthearted like relationships, and we broke up, whatever. But while we were dating, now by the way, Adam is married to a beautiful and successful boss babe of a girl, Samantha. Oh my
Totally.
gosh. Let
Have
me
the
tell you.
best
Okay.
in-laws ever.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I mean, Adam's parents, and then all this stuff. Anyway, so Adam and I were lightly dating, and I decided that I wanted to go and say, like, surprise him and go to his house and say hello. And for whatever reason, I decided to buy a red rose. I don't know, switching, the gears of what guys do for girls and girls do for guys, whatever. So gender roles. So I get this red rose, and I drive in my Wolfsburg edition Volkswagen with a
Perfect.
crank rooftop sunroof, right? Like one of those,
Yeah.
it's like 1987, 86 Wolfsburg edition or
Yeah.
something like that. I called her Wolfie. I named
Perfect.
my car. So I'm in Wolfie, and I'm driving over to Adam's house. And I park the car, and I cross the street. I knock on the door. And I'm thinking that Adam is going to answer this door. Nope. It's Matt, who Christina, as you see on the screen, is married to. Now, Matt is a very attractive man. He is very attractive. And when he was in, like, I guess it was college at that time. I think so. Adam, yeah, he was probably like just out of college. Matt, he answers the door, and Matt, at that time of his life, if you have ever watched Legends of the Fall and know the character that Brad Pitt played with long, flowing blonde locks of hair, that's who answered the door. So you can imagine me. I am basically shitting myself. I think I tinkled a little bit, and I'm like, oh my God, this beautiful man. And I've heard of Matt. I had never met him at that point. And I'm thinking, oh my God. And I remember all my friends being like, oh my God, he looks like Brad Pitt, Legends of the Fall. Oh my God, Legends of the Fall. So he answers the door, and I don't even know what I said. I think I had the rose, and I was like, and he's like, yes. he had no shirt on, by the way. So to add to this, okay. And I give him the rose and I go, this is for Adam. I got to go. And I just left. I'm sweating just talking about this right now, thinking about like how I felt that time. But yeah, so Christine already knows the story because I've already told it. But yeah, that's Matt. That's Matt and now Christina. So
Yes. And Matt is, I think, still known from his brothers to never have a shirt on. So
I never understood that. The guy never has a shirt on ever.
I never understand it either.
Well, you lucked out. Damn,
Yeah.
Christina, you lucked out. I mean, he looked out with you, but like, let's be honest. So he really did luck out with you. So now, Christina, I need you to kind of like tell the audience, okay, so you're from Scranton and kind of give me like the story of like who you are. Before we get there, what do you do currently right now? And we could back into that story.
Oh, currently for work?
Yeah, like what do you do?
Okay.
Like,
Yeah, I have my hands in a bunch of different pots right now. I am the coordinator for our local community center, and I also run my own health coaching business, and I teach yoga, and
yes.
that's it for right now.
Yes,
I
yes.
do
I
a
actually
few other things, but those are kind of the main things.
okay, because I actually got a newsletter from you today
You probably
about
do.
your yoga.
Yes.
So I have to
Yeah.
look into deeper into that. So
Yeah.
okay. So
But
that's what you do.
yeah.
So prior to that,
Oh, yeah, so prior to that, in, like, a different life, I worked full-time in, the emergency room, and so my career started in Pennsylvania, in Wilkes-Barre. How people say that differently too.
I know I
Um
was like Wilkes-Barre, isn't it Wilkes-Barre?
Yeah, I always say Wilkes-Barre, so I don't know who's right or wrong, but yeah, so I started my career there, working in the emergency room, and Matt is a ER nurse, so that is kinda where we began. I no longer work in the ER, I transitioned my life to be, out of it. I just felt a different calling with health coaching and working in the town and in the community, so but I had 13 years behind me, and it was, wonderful, and I got to meet Matt, so that's how
I know,
we
right?
yeah, um yeah, so 8 years ago, actually, this year, I was still working in that ER, and Matt took an assignment. He was still living in Bethlehem at the time, but he was driving up to work, like, a 13-week assignment in the ER that I was working in,
Now
and
he's a traveling nurse. Is that what he does?
he was originally he that's how we met was, like, he was working for a travel agency and then taking contracts in different places.
Wow.
I was not, I just had one job in that area, I had an apartment there at the time and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And so he took a contract in the hospital, that I was working at, and then on his first day before he started, my boss came up to me and I yeah, had again, I already told Raegan the story, but I'll tell it again. Hey, my boss had come up to me and was like, "You have to show the new, like, traveler around and just, like, show 'em where everything is, like, how to use the computers," and I was like, "I don't want to, I hate training people." And she's like, "Well, you have to," and my coworker was next to me at the time, and I just remember looking at her, kind of rolled my eyes, and I'm like, "Oh my god." And then Matt kinda cut the corner, like, all tall and proud and, like, being really confident and, like, it was his first day
And
and then
wearing a shirt? Was he wearing a shirt at this time?
yeah, he was wearing a shirt.
I had to. I had
I mean,
to.
you never know. Um, and, he kinda cut the corner, and I remember thinking, "Oh, yeah, I could show him around, that's fine." Um And, and I was, like, very single at the time. I'd been single for, like, several months, so I was kinda looking to maybe meet someone new, and he really, struck me in the first day that I met him because he was very different and very unique and very confident in himself, and he had a great sense of humor that kinda matched my sense of humor, and I just remember thinking, like, this would be the person I would want to date, you know? And, unfortunately, at the time, it just wasn't the right time, so I just thought, "Well, shucks." But, like, I'll have to train him, and we could just be friends and stuff like that. So that's kinda where our story began, and then, um, yeah, we ended up actually being friends for several months and kind of helped each other through some hard times. And then I got the courage one day, like months later, I believe it was like in May of 2018, and I asked him to go to a Dave Matthews concert with me in Syracuse, New York, because my friend couldn't
Yes,
go.
girl.
Yeah,
DMB.
yeah. I was like, "This'll reel him in." Then he could see how much of, like, of a nerd I am when it comes to the DMV. And he said yes right away, and then I realized we would have to, like, make plans to get there and, like, see the show, and then I was, like, kinda panicking because I was like, "Oh, it felt real then," like, where we would be, like, hanging out one-on-one in a closer setting, and I was getting real nervous. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of the story that we had, and just a quick kind of fast forward to that, we had that date and went to the show. We had a great time. We have a lot in common, similar interests and values, and we come from close families. So it was really nice to be sharing time with somebody that like had the same exact beliefs as me. So we had a great, date at the concert and everything. And Matt had not really been looking for anything serious because he had just gotten out of a long relationship and
I
um
remember.
yeah, and so we were kind of trying to be respectful of that at the time. And he at the time had his Volkswagen Vanagon Synchro, and he named it Lars, and he was kind of
Of course he did.
of course, yeah, we all name our vehicles now, and so he at the time was fixing up the van to take a cross-country road trip to do travel nursing out in California to visit his brother Adam that you mentioned out here, and
Mhm.
their daughters, and so that was kind of his plan, and I just, you know and I might have said this before, but, like, I at the time that I met Matt, I just really, like, had kinda, like, burned what I thought my life was to the ground at that time, and I was really looking to just, like, start over and start fresh and just become, like, a better person and, like, gain more experience and just kinda get out of this kind of, like, dark hole I was in, and so
Mhm.
what that looked like for me was like, after I met Matt, I was actually thinking about going to Maine for the summer and staying there and like, finding a job and, like, living in Maine for the summer, and so our kind of plan was, like, Matt and I would travel up to Maine together, and then I would stay, and then he would take off on his road trip. So we weren't really investing in, like, a committed relationship. We didn't want somebody else to get disappointed, and so anyway, so fast forward, to being in going up to Maine, kind of a couple events took place and one thing led to another, and then Matt asked me, in Maine on a hike. We were on top of this beautiful mountain, like, overlooking, we were in Acadia National Park, and we were overlooking the water, and he asked me, like, if I wanted to be his girlfriend and wanted to come with him on this road trip and see, like, how, our relationship would do or, like, if we can make it work, and I said yes.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah,
That's just so magical to think of, and, like, I mean, you've gotten to know each other at that point pretty
yeah,
well, but, like, you're now committing to going across the country with this guy that you trained
yeah,
at the hospital.
yeah, and at the
Okay.
time, I mean, it felt well, at the time, it probably feels more magical now because at the time, it was like there was just so much happening, and there was,
Yeah.
like, stress and other factors, and so now, like, talking about it, I'm like, "That actually was a really magical time." But neither one of
Isn't it
our,
funny when you have that perspective and you walk away from it and you're like, "Yeah, at the time, it was not as magical as what we're looking at right now."
yeah,
But now
and
looking back,
but
yeah.
there was still so like, I could remember that moment of, like, Matt asking all of that, like, as if it had happened yesterday, like, it's still super fresh in my mind, and I think at the time, I just thought, "Yeah, this is gonna be, like, the start to something new for me," and, Matt really at the time, like, saw me for who I really was, not, like, who I thought I was, like, he saw like the real me and thought I was unique. And I was just like so floored by that because I thought he was so unique. And then I was like, I was like, wow, I was like, that's really cool. So yeah, it was an all around like, it's like I was down here, and then that whole moment just was slowly like building me up to like where we're at now kind of thing. And so anyway, our parents didn't know about each other. Like my
Oh, yeah,
mom
well, bring this up. This is my
yeah.
dad would have been like, "Nope, you got another thing coming to you if you think that you're traveling across the country with some
Yeah.
guy I never met."
Yeah. Well, so we drove back to Pennsylvania from Maine and we met each other's parents and told each other's parents what was happening and what we were doing and
And
my dad
Christina, this is like the
was
first
not
time
happy.
that you met? Like, wait, this is the first time that you met each other's parents?
Yes. Yeah. 'Cause we weren't really exclusive, and so there was no reason to tell my parents about Matt, there was no reason for him to tell his parents about me because he was going off to California and I was quit my job and was not going to do that? So why would I tell my parents about somebody that I'm not, like, exclusively dating? And,
Yeah,
um,
fair.
and so then this happened, and I thought, "Well, now we have to, spill the beans." So we filled our parents in with everything that was going on, and my dad had a lot of concerns and questions, but, ultimately, like, I had committed to going. I also committed to driving my own vehicle and following Matt behind instead of sharing the van because we thought we would always need an extra vehicle to get from maybe work or like somewhere else. Cause the van is like what we camped in and lived in. And if we wanted to like then go out to dinner, we'd have to pack everything in. So we're like, we'll take my car. Um,
Okay, wait, hold up.
yeah,
Really literally thought you're like, well, I took my car in the event like this isn't working, and then I just
that
shoot off
too.
of like Interstate 78 or whatever it is to like
That's
go
very
somewhere
true.
different.
Yeah, I
An
said
escape plan.
that I did have that escape plan in my mind. I thought, well, if things end up not working out, then I have my car and all my things, so we can just part ways. So I we put everything from my apartment in storage. We, like, got rid of the lease. We packed up my car with, like, what I would need for a cross country road trip that Matt had been planning for a long time that I had not. So I was, like, going into this totally blind. Like, I knew the route and, like, kind of idea, but I was just following along. Because he had it planned for months, not me. So there was a big, kinda disconnect there where, like, he knew all the places we were stopping, and I was just being filled in real time. Um, and
But wait,
so
wait, but
yeah.
how do you pack for this? Like you put things in storage. Like,
You
were you
find
thinking,
out you find out really quickly, I think, what you think that you need, because in my head, I remember if you were to look at videos and pictures back then of that road trip and all the things that we packed, we were like, "We never needed any of that." So, at the time, I did overpack. I had all sorts of clothes, multiple tables, my dog, all of my dog's things, and I remember I had, like, pictures and just weird little, like, trinkets and things, like comfort things that I thought I would need, and, yeah, it's just really funny. You don't know how to pack for it, you're kind of just like, "I'll bring all seasons of clothes, and I guess whatever brings me comfort?" And my car was packed to the brim.
"Oh my god,
Yeah,
okay."
and I had no idea how long I would be gone. Like, were we gonna move to California forever? Like, I didn't know when I put my stuff in storage, so I was really just taking, like, camping stuff and all the important things, but then I did have a lot of weird things. I had this, like, huge folding table. Like, it just is, like, not conducive to, like, going camping.
Oh,
Um,
okay. I wouldn't think to bring a folding table, but I mean, I guess you
yeah.
would need one.
Exactly. We had everything that we needed. I definitely had more than I needed because I like having my little like comfort things,
Yeah.
like little journals and eh,
Yeah.
old birthday cards. I brought all my
Well,
old
that's what
birthday
I'm saying,
cards
like,
back. Yeah.
what like, you have those mementos, like, I'm looking
Yeah.
at my apartment right now, and if Pilot was like, "That's it, I'm quitting the airlines, we're hopping in my van, which he doesn't have. He'd have to go get one. He'll name it Mars. You could have Lars. And then we hop in and we have to pack and go. I don't even know where I'd begin because there are, I mean, like even like books that I have that I really love, like you have to kind of sift through all that stuff. I mean, I know you
Yeah.
had stuff in storage,
I
which we'll
brought like
get
a
to that
bunch
then
of
what you,
books with me.
right? I mean, I don't,
Yeah. I think at the time
okay.
I had no reference. Like Matt had already been pretty like well traveled at this point, and I knew nothing about van life or going in a van. I didn't really even know van life was a thing. I was just like, yeah, I'll follow you, and this is all super cool. And like, I mean, I loved hiking, backpacking, like traveling. I had done those things, but never like in a van or to that degree. Um,
Okay.
and so I just kind of packed what I personally thought I needed and like what was comfortable. And Matt had told me at the time he thought I overpacked a little bit. And I was like, well, you just never know. And then as we were on the road, I was like, I have way too much shit. Like, um,
Okay.
because you
Okay.
just find
So,
out like, yeah, it just and we'll get more into that when I, talk about where we're at now, but, so
yeah.
basically, yeah, we put everything in storage, we packed everything up, and then Matt had the whole route planned, he knew, like, campgrounds, he had reservations, and Matt's, like, very detailed, like, very, like, easy to plan trips with, so it was very organized, and I felt very comfortable with the whole thing, and we had other fun ideas in mind, and we were getting really excited. Um, Kinda said goodbye to our parents and, event there was a lot of tension around our parents, like, with the other person, but I think eventually it kind of just, like, faded. I think my parents started to get more on board, Matt's parents were getting more understanding, and then my parents were really liking Matt more and more, and vice versa, and I think we're close with our parents, so we kept in contact with them. It wasn't like we just went on this, like, far off trip and, like, never called them. So we got lots of pictures and FaceTiming and stuff like that. So, yeah, I believe it was the end of June, we left Pennsylvania and we started the road trip.
and what
We
year was this?
2018. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and so we left Pennsylvania, we, like, said goodbye, I had my car, I was driving, had my dog and my things, and then Matt had the van and everything else in there, and we had, like, our bikes and kayaks and stuff, and then, um, I mean, this is such a long story, but to really kinda give out the best parts of it, we left from Pennsylvania, we traveled, up into Canada, and then we drove kind of, like, across Canada, came back down into Minnesota, and then we did, like, Wyoming, Utah, Colorado area for a while, and then we drove out to California. The end game was going to Adam and Sam's house, meeting their new daughters and seeing their firstborn, Laura, and, um, so that was, like, our end point, and so that was about a span of that whole summer. I think we got to Adam and Sam's, if memory serves me correctly, I think it was the end of August of 2018.
Wow. So wait, why did you go
Yeah.
up through Canada? Why didn't you just go right out straight?
I don't honestly remember because Matt had it planned, and I think it was just that whole stretch is so boring in a way. Not boring, I mean, the whole country is beautiful in of itself, but I think it's too easy to just drive out to the Midwest. Canada from, like, the part we entered through, like, New York has a lot of camping. Like, the first place we stayed in, was, like, dense forest and, like, on this beautiful lake, and, like, we did a lot of kayaking and canoeing and hiking, and then but all along that area, there's, like, a major kind of highway, like, like, we have Highway, like, 80 and all that, and
Yeah.
th
Yeah.
they have a highway that kinda goes through where it hovers above Minnesota, and it's just, like, there's no billboards, there's no traffic lights, it's, like, really great stars at night, really, like, forest, trees, like, lots of mountains, and so we thought that should just be more our speed than,
Wow.
kinda just jetting across the Midwest. No offense to the Midwest, we have drove through, but, you know.
Yeah, none taken. I'm sure the
Um,
Midwesterners would understand,
yeah,
and you wanted
yeah.
to extend it. It was an adventure. It wasn't like, "We have to get, like, a trucker. We have to get and drop off a
No,
load somewhere." Like,
and
you could extend it, let it breathe.
yeah, and at the time, we didn't have, like, a job lined up, so there wasn't, like, some sort of deadline we were following. I mean, I guess a deadline in a way of, like, we knew we would have to start working to, like, have an income again, but there wasn't, like, this, like, pressing deadline. So we just, like, really took our time with each place we went through. I mean, even in Minnesota, when we stayed there for, like, 2 nights, like, the whole thing just was slow going and, like, we weren't rushing from one place to the next. And then right before
Gosh.
Adam and Sam's, we ended the trip in Yosemite National Park. We stayed there for several days, and then we drove to their house, from that park, and so that's kind of where we ended. It was kind of like a nice way to celebrate and, like, really reflect on what that trip brought to us, which was, like, growth in our relationship and, like, individual growth, especially from me. I mean, that road trip really was, I think, s such a transformative point in my life, to help me get to where I'm at right now, and I feel like I evolved so much, like, learned what was important, what needed letting go, and just learned so much about myself. So the Yosemite was, like, a really great way to, kinda just, like, reel all that in and, like, really reflect and, like, end the trip on, like, a great note, you know?
So
Um
did you journal while you were going? Because I love the idea where you're like, it was transformative for you, and it was a way to you realize there are certain things to let go. Like, I don't know how far and deep you wanna go into that, but, a lot of people do have this. I mean, maybe I'm the a lot of people, but to just unplug and just let go, let flow.
Yeah,
And there is something magical to that when you just literally have no agenda. I mean, you have a certain amount of time that you need to play with, but you just
yeah,
let yourself feel the feels and go through the motions. So,
yeah.
what did you learn about?
I think for me, so I did not keep a journal, which I do regret now. I wasn't really into journaling back then as I am right now, but I took a lot of photos and I branched those photos out into different albums showcasing, like, where we were. So that way I could always remember, like, every little camp spot we went to. But at the end of the trip, I did journal for a while about, like, what I learned. And basically for me, the biggest part was, like, prior to that trip, I just was living so disconnected from myself. I was drinking a lot, made a plethora of mistakes. I wasn't, like, enjoying my job anymore, so I wasn't, like, working as hard as I know I could have been. I was just making a lot of different decisions coming from a place of, like, fear and trying to fit in and not knowing any better, and I had no idea, like, what self-care meant, and I was always so focused on trying to, like, be like what everybody else was like or dress or look or act like them, and I just was really disconnected from myself and all the things that I enjoy, and what makes me who I really am. And that trip really brought all that back to me where I remembered how much I like to be outside, how much I like camping, like, I just remembered things about my appearance that I was, like, wanted to let go of to really look myself again, and I stopped, like, drinking as much as I did, and I was able to kind of, like, learn more about myself because of that and, like, actually learn what self-care meant, like, about taking care of yourself from, like, a more grounded point instead of just, like, going with the flow and, like, drinking a lot, and I say that a lot because I know I was doing it a lot, and so it was really nice to be on this trip and just be ripped away from all of that for different reasons, and just get to sit with myself for once and be like, "That is not someone I was proud of, and that is not how I wanna be living." And when you're camping and you're traveling and you're kinda ripped away of, like, all those creature comforts, you're only met with yourself then. And so even if you're with a partner and have your dog, you're still the silence and the solitude and the exposure to nature and the beauty of it. It just then you have to sit with yourself, and that's essentially what happened for all those months, for me anyway. I can't speak for Matt, that's just my individual experience. I mean, as a couple, speaking for Matt, I think we learned more about each other. We laughed a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah, that part is magical, but I think for me the biggest takeaway was what happened to myself, and just realizing
Wow.
yeah, yeah, just kind of like how I wanted to be living my life and like that actually all the things I thought were important weren't really important and like that I could be pretty free to be who I really am, and that was only the start. I feel I've reached that more now, but that was like a really good foundation. Um, and it's what
Yeah,
got
there's
us
gonna
out
be
here
yeah,
to
well, there are gonna be
California.
people taking well, there's people taking notes right now being like, "So, in order to reconnect with myself, I have to get in a van and then head up towards Canada and then down towards Missouri."
Yeah,
Making that list right now.
I would say, I mean, always do that. That sounds great. But I would say if someone does want to take away something, I think it's just leaving in some way, just like your current comfort zone. Just would be my biggest takeaway. Like, you don't have to, like, get in a 1986 Volkswagen Synchro and jet across the country, but, to go sit, to go sit in nature or to try something new or to do something that's totally different from everybody that, like, what they're doing or do something where people whether it's your family or friends think, "Well, that's a little out there." I think when you do that, you just start to gain your confidence back because you learn so much about yourself and, like, know that you'll always be okay, And that was a big thing for me was, like, yeah, I don't have to, like, conform to what I thought, like, I should be conforming to, like, my life back in Pennsylvania, like, that I could just do this and set myself, free a little bit,
Yeah, it's so liberating. So, you get out to California,
Yeah, that's how
and
we
then
got
at
out to
one
California.
that's how you got out to California. And then you're hanging out with, like, Adam and Sam and the kids, but then you have to make a decision and I mean, you're not going to hotels other than Adam's house, not that that's a hotel, but it's his home, but, like, you're like, so you're in this van and you just, like, stay in the van?
When we got to Adam and Sam's, we stayed in their guest room, and we
Right.
stayed at their house for about a month, and then, about a month later, Matt and I were like, "We need to start working again, we need to start making some money." So he contacted his, nursing travel agency to see what contracts are available in the area. He got
Okay.
his California license and stuff like that. Um, they wanted to put us in, like, one spot, like, an hour away from where Adam and Sam live, but it really wasn't anything we were interested in, and so we asked them if they had something else, and his, um, job recruiter had a contract for us in Truckee, California, which is above North Lake Tahoe, and we thought, "Well, that's a lot better for us because we'd be in the mountains," and we love the mountains, and so we drove over 80 going over Donner Summit into, like, Truckee, California, and we just were like, "Yeah, this is more of our speed." It's all mountains and trees, and so, we got to Truckee, and Matt was actually gonna start work pretty quickly, so we didn't have a place lined up to live, um, so we moved into, 2 separate local campgrounds for, like, a couple weeks each, and until we
Okay.
found a house, because they get really big winters, so we knew we couldn't live in the van throughout these big winters, and so we camped in the van in Truckee at 2 separate campgrounds until I believe it was, like, the beginning of November, and then of 2018, and then we found a rental house, and we moved into a house. So we haven't always, we haven't lived in the van forever, it was just a couple months. Um, we moved into a rental house and Matt started working, and then I got a job at the clinic across the street from where he was working, and we had a really great time in Truckee. It was before 2020, so there weren't a lot of people that had moved up there yet, and we had a really good kinda local experience, um, and I really do wanna get to, like, how we got into the Airstream, so I'll make this kinda
Please.
middle part shorter.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
we stayed in Truckee until April of 2019. And
Wow. Okay.
after that, we decided to actually go back home to Pennsylvania. Matt helped his dad build a garage, and I got to just hang out with my family. My niece had just been born and, all these different things, and so we actually were back in PA from, like, for most of 2019, and then we took 2 more travel nurse assignments. One was in Hawaii, in the North Shore of Oahu, we
Oh
lived,
my gosh.
and
Christina.
it
Wow.
was
Okay.
nice. And then we went to Maine because, those places are super close and very much alike.
Of
And,
course. Right around the
our
corner.
yeah, our best friends lived in Maine, so we went to Maine, and then at the very end of 2020, around Thanksgiving time, I remember we were in our living room of our rental house in Maine, and the year was, like, almost wrapping up, it was, like, almost time for Thanksgiving, and I just remember really missing California, like, really missing the mountains, and I missed it so much, and I expressed it to Matt, and he also felt the same way, and the next day, his old manager at his job out here in California was like, "We're really looking for people, like, do you wanna come back?" And I was like,
No.
"Mhm." And so he told her yes, and then we packed up everything in Maine, and we drove home to, like, spend a weekend with our family, and then we just drove right back out to California. Same situation, I followed Matt in the van, or he drove the van and I had my car,
Separate
and
vehicles.
separate
Just in
vehicles,
case.
and we just drove right back out. Yeah, just in case. No, actually, that time it was more like, it is good to
Yeah,
have
you were
2
like
vehicles.
in. Yeah. Yeah.
And we drove back and we moved back into the, rental that we first had when we lived there. And now to really reel it in, this is how we ended up in the Airstream. So
Okay.
we moved back to Truckee at the end of 2020, and COVID had been ending and everything had changed. More people had moved to Truckee, things were really expensive. Our rent was way more expensive than when we left. And there was a moment in the beginning of 2021 where I specifically remember saying to Matt that, like, we are just never gonna get ahead. Like, we're paying so much amount of money in rent, it's not going towards ourself. It would just be so hard to, um, just get ahead in life. And I said to him, these were my words, I was like, we'd already lived in the van, like, periodically, we've traveled in it, camped in it, stayed in it for months. I was like, "Why don't we just buy a camper that's bigger than the van, that would feel more like we could live in it longer, and we, like, move it to a campground and, like, reduce our rent and save up for, like, a house one day?" And Matt was like, "I've always wanted to fix up an Airstream," and I was like, "Okay, well, I think we're on the same." So we never spoke of it again, he just started looking online. And above Truckee, where we live now, in Plumas County, so that where we live now is an hour more north of Truckee.
Okay.
We had fallen in love with that area from the first time we had moved to California, like in 2018. We just really loved the area, and I think we knew we really wanted to settle down there instead of Truckee. It just felt more like home to us, and I think that's the best way to describe that. And so Matt and I started making steps about, like, finding work up here and getting into the hospitals up here and looking at campgrounds up here, and then all the pieces kind of came into play. There was an Airstream for sale in Seattle, Washington, um, at a reasonable price, and the guy was living in it to build his house, and we thought, "Well, that's what we wanna do." And then, everything really just fell into place like it was meant to be. Because at that same time, we found a campground up here in Plumas County that would let us rent all year round and keep the Airstream hooked up to their water, their electric, and all of that, and the rent was ridiculously cheap, it was like $500, and at the time, we were paying over $3,000 a month, so you could imagine, like, how nice it felt to not have to do that. Um, and so we bought the Airstream sight unseen, hired a guy to drive the Airstream down to the campground, he parked it for us because we didn't have a vehicle that could tow it, and we purchased a 1997, Norman Rockwell Edition Airstream. It's 34 feet long, 8 feet wide. It's the biggest one that they made back in the 90s, and they made one for every state. So it's kind of like, I
Oh
guess,
my
a little
God.
rare to have one because not many people have them. This edition was only made, yeah, just like I said, like one per state. Um, and like I said, so
Wow.
we bought it sight unseen. And we had our house in Truckee. So that was April of 2021 was when we bought the Airstream and got it towed down to the campground. We
Right.
had our house in Truckee. We had it until the end of May. And so the plan was to um park the Airstream at the campground, get it all hooked up, renovate it, and then move into it full time. And then that would just be our house. So essentially we bought our first house in 2021.
And you had to renovate it. So now Christine and I were on, we've
Yeah.
had many a conversation about
We
this
renovated.
specific podcast, what we're going to do. But
Yeah.
um, so I'm going to try. And if I'm not able to do it because I'm not as technically savvy with my editing, I'm going to try to showcase these pictures that you're talking about because I saw what you were doing in real time as you were like posting. It is so impressive what you were
Yeah.
able to do.
Yeah. I mean, I feel really fortunate because I did essentially end up marrying my mechanic and handyman. Um, but we did but we did renovate it together. So, I do wanna note in the story because I just think that this is really important to note. When you buy something sight
Please go on.
unseen, you don't know what it's going to look like. And so the day that the Airstream got delivered, we drove up to the campground and we were waiting for it to, you know, pull in and we were all excited. We got like gin and tonics and we were celebrating, had a bottle of champagne. And the guy drops it off, he parks it for us, he leveled it for us, and we were like in our heads, we were like, "All we'll have to do is just clean it out and repaint it, and then we'll move right in." And when we opened that door, we were like, "Oh," it needed so much work. Um, the previous, like, owner had smoked and, like, everything was stained and, like, it was very 90s and there was wallpaper everywhere, and we were just like,
Oh,
"Oh, this needs a lot more than just, like, sweeping it out and painting it." Our so we were gonna sleep in it on the first night to celebrate, and then we couldn't figure out how to, like, turn the lights on, and we had no idea how to hook it up, and we couldn't
oh
get
my God.
anything to work, so we just slept in the van, and we were laying in the
Oh
van,
my.
and we were like, "What did we do? What did we do? Like, should we have just stayed in the van?" Like, the van felt so much more comfortable, and we were like, "What did we just get ourselves into?" And then the next morning, we made breakfast at the campground, you know, in the van, and then, we learned where the breaker box was, and we learned how to hook it up, and so we learned everything about it, like, in each moment that passed, and then we just started working on it. So from the end of April, we spent the next 6 months renovating it, and I do wanna note that our lease was up in our rental house in Truckee in May, so we moved into it when it was completely gutted out, and the only thing we
Oh
had in
my
it
God.
was a mattress in the back and our camping stove, but, people would say like, if I say that out loud, people would be like, "That's rough," but you have
You're
to
nuts,
also
but yeah.
remember. Yeah, I mean, but it's so funny because I never thought it was crazy. I just was like, "This is fine. We're gonna renovate it and it'll get better." And we were living at the campground where we had access to hot showers in the bathroom, and um, it was summertime, so we were cooking outside and grilling, and so it didn't really seem that bad. But we did live in it when it was just like I have so many photos of us eating on the ground and, like, Dusty's bed is, like, next to, like, a wall that's, like, totally gone. That's our dog at the time, Dusty. And, yeah,
And
it was
mind
a
you,
very
like this is
interesting.
like small close quarters. And I know there are people listening thinking, how did you not just break up? Because married, I mean, Pilot today was in the way once again in the kitchen. And I was like, I can't do this. And every time he gets in the way or I get in the way of him, he always looks at me and he always says, tiny house, not happening. Tiny house, not happening. Because there are people like you and Matt who are
Yeah.
successfully
Yeah.
making it work in tiny house. It's not going to,
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah. There are certainly pros and cons, and it's not, always super glamorous. At the time with renovating, I don't really remember it being really hard. I just remember the whole process feeling really easy. Like, everybody was like, "Was it really hard to, like, renovate it or move into the Airstream full time or live at the campground?" But I don't really remember that. I just remember it being simple, like, it was fine, and we were working on it together, and it really showcased our strengths and weaknesses. Like, Matt was stronger at building and fixing things, and I was stronger at making something look more like a home. So, like, I, painted our kitchen cabinets, and, and then he put in, like, the countertop and the stove and the sink, and then I decorated the area, and, um same thing for, like, the walls. Like, he did all, like, the structure and, like, the framing and, like, the kinda craftsmanship, but then I just kinda made it look really cozy in here, and so it was I just yeah, I don't really remember it being, like, a challenge to renovate it. The challenges come and they're not really challenges, they kinda came later, like, bumping into each other in the kitchen and, like, not having any quiet time, or, like, if one person really needs peace and quiet and the other person's home, you're kinda just, like, staring at each other a lot, so those were kind of, like, the hardships, but at the time renovating it, that never felt hard. It never even felt hard to live in it, gut it out, because it just was, like, another adventure, for us, and yeah, I
So
thought it was
where
really
is
great.
he? So where you mentioned like, when you want to have quiet time or like you need quiet on the set because you're, I don't know, doing a podcast like this. Where is Matt now? Like, is he
Matt
next to you?
No, he is at work today.
Okay. We planned this
Um,
accordingly.
we did. When we need quiet time, our door to our bedroom slides closed, so that's kind of like our separation where one of us, like, I'll go into the bedroom, I put the little twinkle lights on, headphones in, close the door. I got my book, a podcast on, or something, and Matt will stay out here and he'll put his headphones in and just, like, watch a movie. We've gotten a lot better at saying, like, when we're overstimulated or, like, when we're really needing quiet time, we do the best that we can. When it's summertime, it feels a lot bigger in here because we can open up and, like, we're just outside more naturally, so that also helps. Yeah, but this Airstream's been everything to us. So we lived at the campground for, a long time, and we got the Airstream where we wanted it to be, like, by the end of 2021, and then just kinda tinkered with it from there on out to make it look super cozy. Um, we got engaged in this Airstream on Christmas morning in 2022. We, uh, we did take it on a road trip, believe it or not, on its one and only road trip for our honeymoon. We drove up towards Oregon and Washington and, came back down, and,
And it worked out well. It didn't get
yeah,
damaged or
no, Matt is really amazing at towing it, and he does a really good job at parking it, which I'm also impressed with, and, yeah, it's had a lot of firsts in here. Like, we've been through 4 winters in the Airstream in the mountains with blizzards and really big winters despite what, we were saying earlier. We have a wood-burning fireplace in here
you have
for
a
heat.
wood burning fireplace in your Airstream.
Yeah, I can turn the camera around.
You could try if you want. I don't want it to disconnect, but if
Yeah,
it
maybe we'll just leave it and
let's
I'll include
we
it
could
in
take a
the
picture, maybe
photos.
slap it on.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Really quick, I know we're recording. Um, can I just quick plug in my computer and you could just edit that out,
Yes.
me saying that? Okay, perfect.
I mean, I could keep it in. It's all real time. People, she's in the mountains of California.
I
It's a blessing that this is going as long as it is, knock on wood, wherever there's
Yeah,
wood,
I
you know.
just need to plug the laptop in. Hang on
Yeah, no,
one
no, no. You
second.
plug it in. I'll just do the talking. But you could kind of, if
And
I might just keep this in, so you could kind of see the background of her Airstream. Like Christina's
oh, yeah,
living the life. She's living the dream, the
I'll
adventurous
turn it
dream
more.
of, there we are. Like, I mean, this is where they live. This is it. I don't think Pilot and I, no, That there's not 1 ounce of Pilot and I ever doing this. We did though. We drove, no, we flew to the Mountain West because this was after I did a Emmy award winning, the Emmys back here, Storm
I saw
Chase.
that.
Yeah. I'm one of those
Amazing.
obnoxious reporters of it. So,
You should be.
I should be. Anyway, so Pilot and I went to the Mountain West and we saw a lot of RVs out there, like RV America. And we were going to think about getting into an RV and just driving around and doing like
Yeah, just for like a
all American road trip.
I always tell people
But
that
it's
they
not going to
should
be
do
like your
that.
Airstream.
They should do that once
Well,
in their lifetime.
I mean, it would be so cool.
It
But
would be really
you know, I
cool.
just saw the inside tour of your Airstream, and I don't. God bless you. But it's a
Yeah,
beautiful Airstream. What you did with it, I mean, really
it
is
is.
just
Yeah, and I will say, like, yeah, I mean, Matt did like such an amazing job, and I think we both did a really great job at trying to figure out like how to make it really cozy. Um,
yeah.
I mean, it's our home, and we knew we were going to live in here for a long time, so we really wanted to make sure we had everything that we needed. Um, and so yeah, so really the goal of getting the Airstream was to save up money to buy a house or property here in the county we live
Uh-huh.
in. And so we yes.
Yes.
And so so yeah, we moved into the Airstream in April of 2021, and then in April of 2025 we officially moved onto our property that we bought.
Ah, you saved the money. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we bought this property in 2024, but we spent the year just kind of getting it ready for the Airstream to move on to it. So it is
Oh.
a undeveloped 5-acre plot of property. And so in 2024, with the help of Matt, friends, dads, neighbors alike, um, Matt installed our septic system, and then we hired a company to drill our well. And we, leveled out an area where we thought we'd put the Airstream. And Matt spent a lot of time kind of cutting down trees and clearing things out to make it really safe for us to live here. And then we were gonna stay at the campground longer because we didn't really have all the utilities or everything done. And I just thought, we drilled our well here on the property. We got all that done, but we didn't have a
Mhm.
way to get the water from the well to the Airstream. And I just thought, well, we have a 50-gallon holding water tank. We could just get gallons of water and fill them up and then pour them into our tank ourselves and things like that. And I said, there's no reason really for us to be living at the campground and spending money on rent and also having to pay our property loan. And we I remember, like, we talked about it a lot and, like, thought about how we can make it work with just moving the Airstream on here. We had septic, so that's huge, able to flush our toilet and stuff like that. Had somewhere to drain our gray and black tank. And just for reference, gray tank is the sink and shower water, and black tank is the toilet water. But
Okay. Thank you for that.
you need a septic system somewhere for it to go and drain into, and because Matt had, um dug up our septic and got everything installed and everything covered up, we had a place now to put the Airstream to dump our drains. So really the biggest thing was power and like figuring out how to put water in. And so Matt ordered these he ordered 6-gallon, I believe, jugs, and he would fill them at work, I would fill them at work, and then we would just use those to dump into our tank in the Airstream. So we've gotten really good at taking really short start-stop showers where you just, like, start the water, get wet, shut it
Oh
off,
my
soap,
gosh.
and doing dishes really quickly and, like, not wasting water, which is probably a good, I guess, skill to learn. And,
Yeah.
so we were doing that, and so we thought, "Okay, we had all these things in place, like, let's just do it. We didn't have power on the property either. So we thought about with charging phones, we thought, "Okay, well, we have our vehicles." Like, the van, our Volkswagen van, which we still have,
Of
has
course.
solar, so we could charge things into it. Of course, we'll have that thing forever because I refuse to let Matt get rid of it. And
Lars will live a long life.
I will say Lars did not live a long life. Lars in
Oh.
2019 got hit while it was parked,
Oh.
and then we bought a '87 Synchro and put all the parts from Lars into the donor, if you will. So it was like a
R.I.P.
whole
Lars. Got it.
RIP Lars. Now we have a 1 year younger Volkswagen Vanagon Synchro named Wolf, so similar to what you said in the beginning with Wolfie.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
so we were like, we don't have power, so we really had to think about it. So we just got a lot of like battery powered lights, solar lights for the outside. We could charge things at work and like in the car. And we're like, all right, let's stop living at the campground. We've been here forever. And so the same month that we went into it, 4 years later, we moved out of it. And Matt drove the Airstream up the property. He parked it on the first try, like a parking god that he is, and we've been on our property ever since. No more campgrounds.
So, I mean, what is the next step? Are we build? I mean, I saw like you guys were fixing the property up. Like, are you gonna build a house up there, or are you just gonna stay in
We
the
are.
Airstream the whole time?
No, we're gonna definitely build a house.
Okay, I didn't listen.
I
You're
love the
surprising me
Airstream.
every twist and turn of this story with this Airstream. You guys are devoted to the Airstream, which I am so on board with,
I
but I didn't
am
know.
very devoted, but some days I am very ready for a house. If you're a friend or if you're a friend or a close family member that's listening to this, you will know that some days I'm ready for a house. um, So when we moved on in April, Matt got, pretty focused on getting it more livable for us. So we um, got the well pump installed, and Matt bought a water cistern. It's a 2,500-gallon cistern to hold water. So now our well could pump water from the well up the ground into the cistern to fill that out. And now we have that to fill our Airstream. So we don't have to pick up and fill the big jugs and dump them into the holding tank. And he got a few solar panels and installed a battery just underneath our couch. He did that whole system. I understand solar at such a minor level that I'm not even going to attempt to explain what Matt installed because I would just
Yeah.
not do it justice, and that's just not my expertise. But Matt underneath our couch put in like a bunch of batteries and switches, and so we are completely off grid in the sense that we have our well, so we're not tied to the city water. We're not hooked up to the city's power, and we have a septic system. So and like a leach
Oh
field
my God.
underneath. So we are considered off grid. And this year in 2026, our goal with our property is to get our driveway fixed up. We have a kind of an uphill driveway that really needs to be graded and graveled. And we hope to dig out for our foundation. So we'll start building in 2027. Matt drew up the plans with
What?
the county, and we're going to build a 1,000 square foot home. It's going to be a 2-car garage with the house above the garage. So the second story of the building or of the structure would be our home.
Oh
Yeah.
my, what?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
So the
wow.
Airstream is not forever.
I didn't know. I mean, I kind of figured after you got land, but I
Yeah.
didn't know like we're in the middle of
Mhm.
this is gonna happen.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. I mean, Matt's been taking all the steps to get things going. On the property itself, Matt, with the help at one point of Adam and their dad, Mark, and then our friend Ricky, they built a shed on the property. So we have our first structure on the property.
Oh
Um,
my God.
yeah, which is exciting because it's just like it really saved us this winter to store wood in there for our fireplace, and like the generator is in there, and like our patio furniture is in there, and it's just really cool to see a structure on the property. So my personal goals with the property are I got a greenhouse for Christmas, so I'm gonna build my greenhouse and last summer we started building some garden beds, so I'm gonna start getting, like, a drip system set up and, like, get a garden going, and, that's kinda, like, my main goal for the property this year. Yeah.
I mean, it is so exceptional. I mean, I see the views of like what you experience every day and like can you explain like what is around you and what your mornings, day and nights look like where you're perched?
Yeah. Well, when you live at a campground for 4 years, it's just really nice to not wake up and see different campers all around you.
Mhm.
So our property is nestled, so there's a main road, and then there's a dirt road that comes off of that, and then one more dirt road, and we're at the end of that one. If you're looking out north, of the property, to the right, there's nothing there, it's just the forest, and then to the left, it's more forest, and then our one neighbor who we've grown to love them, but you can't really see them from where we're at, and then behind us, it's also forest, so there's not much. The center of our property is cleared out and very open. It's where the house is gonna go, it's where the Airstream is, the shed, and at night, that whole opening is open, like, in this for this, like, view of the sky, so you just see the best stars. It's really dark. There's no traffic lights. For reference, there's only 1 traffic light in our, like, surrounding area, so it's pretty dark. And, the mornings I think to be very magical. I'm a bird person, so I've done a lot of work to cultivate to get a lot of birds to come to the property. So it's a lot of birds chirping and just that mountain air and quiet and no campers. And, you would think by now we moved onto the property in April of 2025, so almost a year now. You would think by now we would just be, like, kinda used to it, but still every morning I'm like, "It's nice to not see those campers," like, we're just still so, like, enthralled by the morning, and it really is just, um, it's just a really magical piece of property, and we feel like we just can't believe we got this lucky in this lifetime, and we're so thankful, and sometimes we have to remind ourselves to leave, because 'cause I'm like, "We're gonna get real weird if we don't, like, get out once in a while," you know? We're all like, we're just always home because it's so cozy here. Why would you wanna go anywhere else? But we also, created a, like, trail on our property, so from the Airstream up to the very top where our property line ends, we created, like, a kind of a path that zigzags up, and that was, like, one of the first things we did when we bought it, so we'll just, like, take the dog for a walk in the morning or,
Oh.
um yeah, and Matt built a deck at the top of the property,
Yes, I
um
think I saw that
yeah, so
in a picture.
it doesn't have, like, walls or, like, a roof, it's not like a tree house, it's just like a deck, like a tree deck, and there's, like, siding and stairs he put in, and, that's at the top of the property, so when you walk up, you get a view of, like, the local mountain range and, like, all the trees, and so that's been really nice in the summer to go up and, like, do yoga on in the morning or just, like, to contemplate something, or it's great for us if we need some space. Matt might go up there and sit up there, and I might just stay down here or vice versa. Um, the more kinda little things we have on the property, the more the Airstream feels a little bit bigger, because we have somewhere else to go.
I mean, it is just like the way you just described that is so magical and it's like
Yeah.
a resort. It's a retreat.
Yeah, it does feel that way, but, you know, it is one of those things I'm like I hear a lot of people say that, and it makes me feel really lucky, and, sometimes I think I don't deserve this, like, this is crazy, and then other times I'm like, "No, we worked really hard, and this was our vision, and we
Mhm.
accomplished it," and, like, but I will say that it is possible for anybody to do this, and I'm not talking about getting an Airstream and stashing it in the middle of the woods. I am talking about, like, it has really taught me the importance of finding a way to just make your home feel really peaceful. We're lucky because the peace is thrown in our face, and sometimes it's hard to remember that because we do live in this resort type situation. We do live in like somebody else's dream or what vision or whatever. Um, but we also live here full time, and so we have jobs and we have stress and we have different strains, and then we forget that, like, we live in such this beautiful place, like, allow the place to help us, so it's a good reminder, like, I have to remember to utilize our property and our surroundings as a way to just know that, like, everything will be okay. Because sometimes you just forget it because 'cause you're here all the time. But I
Mhm.
I have found with being here that I'm like, if you can take even a corner of your house and make it something that feels what I feel when I go outside in the morning, then, like, you'll have a lot of things that you'll need because I think that's just, like, what it comes down to is that, like, at the campground I wanted to make the Airstream so cozy because the last thing I wanted to do was sit outside and, like, stare at all those campers and people coming in, and so we would hike behind the campground to, like, get away from that, and, like so I wanted to make our home really cozy because I felt I needed to be in it a lot because I'm not gonna sit next to so and so's camper outside, But, and I that's where I think I really found that the importance of, like, just making your house feel like such a safe and cozy space for yourself, no matter what that looks like, because it's just your home, and so here I feel really lucky because even if the Airstream was, like, you know, a mess and not pretty, I would still just be able to go outside and find it.
Mhm.
So having the tree deck and, like, having our little trail, it's just all little things that we did to make the property and our house feel just more of a place of comfort that, like, we want to retreat to?
It is such a beautiful story that you have, such a beautiful love story, and
Yeah.
just one of adventure.
Yeah.
And, I am so glad that we had this conversation, and I think we should probably wrap it up because we could probably continue. Christine and I can talk, if you
Oh, we
haven't
could
noticed
definitely
that
talk.
already, so we can keep going. But I do want to wrap it up, and I'm just so grateful that we have become friends, and
Me too.
for my listeners, like, you took us on a trip. You took us along with you, and we're now, like, I can almost smell the mountain air, and I
Yeah.
can almost just feel that cool breeze on my face. It's such a beautiful feeling. But then when I look out, I see Con Edison out of my window. But it's not a big deal. Not a big deal.
Big
But
deal.
no. But thank you
Well,
for
you're
just
welcome to visit us anytime.
well, yeah. I am gonna find myself out there, and I think what you have is awesome, and I can't wait to see the rest of your journey because now you've got the house that's gonna be built, and I'm gonna try to get those pictures too because I really want to find a way to have my viewers see all and listeners
Yeah.
see all these pictures and just the timeline of what you did because it can be done and you're proof of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I will definitely send them over, and I just want to say thank you so much for letting me share this story because,
Yeah.
it's easy to get like imposter syndrome or think it's never felt like a hard way of living. So I'm like, oh, it's fine. But I do feel so thankful for you to let me share the story. And you're right, you and I can talk forever. Yeah, it's just awesome. But if anyone who's listening ever has a question, please direct them our way. I feel like we have a lot of knowledge under
Yeah.
ourselves now. So,
Yeah,
and
I'll make sure to have like your contact information in the podcast description because I'm sure people will be very interested to know a little bit
yeah,
more about how do you actually make this work.
yeah, yeah. And we've all done the trial and error. Everything we've learned was the first time learning it. So now we're at a place where we could actually like explain it.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much, Christina. I'm going to let you go. And thank you for taking us on this trip. It was quite an adventure. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye, friends. Take what lands, leave what doesn't, and keep moving forward. Follow wherever you're listening. And if you are watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. It helps more than you know.